Welcome in to another edition of Friar Territory presented by Fox One. I'm Kyle Glaser alongside the great former Padres center fielder Mike Cameron. Mike, it's been a week since Mike Shildt retired as Padres manager. The candidates are coming together. I gotta say, it feels like it's been longer than just a week since the news broke.
Yeah, it has been. I think you even got on there with our big boy, big pitching buddy. Talked about it a little bit too. So now it's my turn to express how I feel about managers. He's a relief pitcher. So yeah, it's crazy. Heath Bell, by the way.
Absolutely. As we discussed, Mike Shildt led the Padres to back-to-back 90-win seasons. He did what he was hired to do, which was win ball games. He retired. He stepped away on his own volition. So now for the Padres, it's about turning the page and finding the next manager. Mike, you played for 12 different managers in your career. We're going to go down the list of candidates here. But before we do that, I think it's important to establish what are the traits that separate good managers from bad managers? Again, you played for a dozen different managers, including guys like
Yeah.
Lou Piniella, Terry Francona, Bruce Bochy, guys considered some of the best of all time. What to you separates the good managers from the bad ones?
I think, we have to also look at whether it's a manager's first year, um, or how they've been in another place where they've gained some experience. A lot of times I've had some first time managers and it was kind of crazy. But let's speak of the guys that are greats that I've, been a part of, and speaking with Lou Piniella, Bruce Bochy, Terry Francona.
Yep.
To start off this list, these guys were all ex-players. They were great with their communication skills, and they set the tone in a sense, um, as to what they expected of their people. When you get some of those veteran managers who have some experience and understand what it takes to win, probably the most thing that they've had to do now is try to understand how to manage bullpens and just when to fill in a guy in and put him in into play. Um, they done a great job of making sure that is known from the first day of spring training.
Yeah.
And when you set the tone in that matter, all the good managers I know, they're always on the field. Like they are always
Yeah.
amongst their guys, and then it's time to separate it sometimes. And
Yeah.
now you can always talk to them. Man, it's just something that I'll never forget, and how, as I've grown throughout the major leagues from my first year into my last year, how managers manage and maneuver throughout a season, how they protect their players, and how they players respond back to them. Even if a player doesn't like it, they are willing to stand up for what is right for the organization and their team, and that's to say the least in a sense. And they always take care of their people, man. So um, when your manager rides for you and his coaches and players and everything else, but he'll hold people accountable in situations. That's when you set a culture.
Yeah.
That's when you can live with some losses sometimes, a losing situation. But it is imperative that the communication skills are up to par throughout the whole organization, from the front office to the analysts to everyone else, and be able to manage your own cortisol levels when when you had a tough game,
Yeah.
and or tough series or tough week or tough month,
Yeah.
how to manage it when you're talking to the media.
Absolutely. And with that, the Padres are a team that is coming off back-to-back 90-win seasons, that is trying to win now and has a lot of core pieces that should allow them to do that. They have to make some roster upgrades in free agency, but this is not a team that's a lot of young players building for 3 years from now. This is a team that is built to win now. And as we all know, the right manager for one team is not the right manager for another team based on the roster, based on where they are in their competitive cycle, based on the front office. Again, it's really, really individual on a case by case basis who's the right manager for the team. The Padres, being a winning team that is trying to win right now, that has a lot of veteran players, what are some of the things that you think are going to help the next manager be successful? Is it previous playing experience? Is it previous managerial experience? Is it internal versus external? When you have a team like the Padres that is made up like they are, what are some of the background traits you would look for?
Well, considering, I would definitely look in someone that has some experience. And I'm pretty sure AJ Preller will
Yeah.
probably look into that particular aspect,
Yeah.
because of the type of team that he has, and the window that they have to be able to put together a winner to consistently participate in postseason play, which we know how difficult that is to get into. But when you have good players, it makes it a lot easier to do. But at the same time, I'm sure, I don't know how much influence or um, talking will go between some of the veteran players of that team that's been there for a few years now and understand the inner connection of what's going on in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
And ultimately it's going to come down to AJ Preller and his staff, what they decide to do. But
Yeah.
I would think that he would maybe involve Manny, um, El Nino, and a few of those guys in Musgrove, a few of those guys on from the pitching staff, just kind of get just a feel of what they're talking about and what they're saying. Not to say he's going to take their word to get those things, but get a group of guys and what they feel, and see how what they have to say, and what maybe they think about a certain manager or a guy that be possibly fit for the team. But obviously it's going to come down to whatever AJ Preller feels is best needed for this team. And me looking at some of the managerial candidates of this list, two or three of guys stick out very much so.
Yeah.
And Scott Service and David Ross. Nick Hunley's been around for a while. I played with Nick Hunley a little bit. AJ Ellis, I did. He's an ex-catcher.
Yeah.
And then you have some of you guys that have been there before, like Ruben Nebula and Brian Esposito.
Yeah.
Flattery, I didn't play with him. Obviously, I played against Pujols. But there's so many different aspects that you can bring to the table in the direction you want this team to go in from
Yeah.
the managerial candidates.
Absolutely. And we are going to go in depth on all the candidates here. We're going to take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsors, then dive right in. Football is back, and so is your shot at big wins. With DraftKings Pick 6, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, your game day instincts can score you real money. Here's the play. Just pick more or less on 2 or more player stats and unlock the upside every snap brings. The better your calls, the bigger your payout. And here's the kickoff bonus. New DraftKings customers get $50 in bonus picks with just a $5 entry on your first pick set. This season, play your player instincts. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and use code FOUL. That's code FOUL. Play just $5, get $50 in Pick 6 bonus picks. Make the call, ride the upside, in partnership with DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick 6 not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. 1 per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick 6 bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at pick6.draftkings.com/promos.
Welcome back to Friar Territory, presented by Fox One. All right, Mike, we talked about some of the traits that would make sense for the Padres to look for in their next manager. Now it's time to go down some of the names. You have, among others, a lot of individuals who have previous managerial experience. You have Scott Service, you have David Ross, you have Phil Nevin, all of whom have different ties to the Padres. As you mentioned, you have internal candidates who are already on the coaching staff in Ruben Niebla and Brian Esposito. You have internal candidates in the front office. Look at someone like AJ Ellis, Mark Loretta, and Scott Service also falls under this as well. And then you have candidates who have previous ties to the Padres as coaches. Ryan Flaherty was Padres bench coach for many years. Most recently was the Cubs bench coach. He's in play as well. And he had some champions in the front office the last time the Padres were in a managerial search after Bob Melvin left. You mentioned something earlier I thought was interesting, that given this is a veteran-laden group, that having someone who has previous managerial experience would be a benefit here. And I agree with that. As someone who has been on ready to win now teams and welcome new managers in, does having someone that has already had that experience, does that give them extra clout, extra authority right away from day one, or do they still have to earn it like any other new manager?
I think anytime you go into a new situation as a manager, you have to get a feel for what you have as a team. And there will be always be a moment that you have to earn the trust of the players. Um, and you can just you do that just by being very clear and, and present a clarity
Yeah.
and just be forthcoming and to understand what's going on. Guys respect that more than anything. Guys respect the fact that you're just being truthful with them, whether it's good or bad, whether you like it or not. The
Yeah.
one thing that you can do is deliver the truth. Obviously, there's some guys you got to coddle a little bit more than others,
Yeah.
and but uh, there's a mutual understanding
Yeah.
that we're still here to get results. We're still here to be the best that we can be. See if I can get the best out of you. And I think that is earned and not given in that sense. But credibility is what it is. Players talk. It's just as much as front office talks and everything else. Players talk also. So they know who is who and what they're capable of doing. Because I guarantee you, whoever the Padres pick as a manager, guys are going to be on the phone. Hey, how is this guy? What he was about? And your player is going to sit back and watch and see if some of these same things take shape. And he's going to ask questions, especially if he's got time
Yeah.
and in the game, and try to figure out how my connection with you and me being the best I can for the manager or the manager of the team at that time, how it's going to, come together over the course of the season.
Yeah, and the Padres have a wide range of candidates. All those guys I mentioned, you can add Nick Hundley into that, Albert Pujols as well, who we'll talk about in a second. But prior to the break, Mike, you said there were 2 or 3 names that really, really jumped out to you. Who were the 2 or 3 guys that really jumped out to you as potentially being the best fits for this job, given where this team is and given the roster, the front office, everything?
Well, for me personally, I've had some experience with Scott Service.
Yeah.
I played against David Ross and also, watched him manage the Cubs team.
Yeah.
And obviously Nick Hundley, I played with him. So, I know he has some experience in this nature now. But also you brought up Phil Nevin, which I talk to all the time because our kids play together.
Yeah.
That's another guy, hometown guy, who
Yeah.
has some managerial experience.
Yeah.
He's managed Shohei Ohtani. I mean, he's managed, some of the likes of superstars.
Yeah.
He's been a third base coach. He's been a bench coach, in New York. So he understands all the different aspects that come about. And he's a player, he's an ex-player, man, that has garnered a lot of accolades playing for the San Diego Padres and understand the history of it.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of the connection with AJ Preller and how he wants to direct this group. And so, with those guys, man, they get almost instant credibility because of what they were as players, for
Yeah.
one. I know that's not in the end all be all, but you get instant credibility when you have those type of guys around, and some background. Scott Service got a lot of skin in the game, man. And
Yeah.
so, I know he's with the organization also, but those guys, man, can bring some instant credibility to the team, and also understand what direction, what we're looking for, and also you can bring those veteran guys and you can pull those veteran guys in to try to create that. And obviously it will be when you get a good group of coaches that you can rock with over throughout years and through the ups and downs.
Yeah.
That's probably the best, man. And that communication, once you understand that it's not just me, I'm just a leader of this thing,
Yeah.
but my group of men are the reason why we are who we are at this particular time.
Absolutely. The other candidates that are interesting are the candidates who are currently on the Padres coaching staff, who have already been in that dugout over 162 with this roster, this team. They know how the organization likes to do things. They have relationships with the players already. Brian Esposito, the Padres bench coach, Ruben Niebla, the Padres pitching coach, are the 2 primary candidates in terms of coaches already on staff. What do you think is necessary for someone to make the jump from a bench coach, pitching coach to a manager? And when is it the right time to do an internal promotion?
Uh, Man, I tell you, that's a tough one, for me to answer. But the one thing about Esposito, as you said, he was a bench coach, and he understood how the previous manager worked, and he probably is more connected to the players
Yeah.
than the manager in itself. Is that going to garner the same type of respect if you put him at the managerial position? But that's a question that we don't know, that has to be asked. But at the same time, it's good to have someone that is knowledgeable of the organization and understand how these guys tick, because he's involved every single day. Like I said, probably more than the manager is, in a sense, because he's doing all the work. He's making the spring training schedule. He's finding out guys who's doing this, that, and the other. Most of the time, the bench guys, when they have an issue or something, they go straight to the bench coach.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see if AJ Prilla, to speak of, is willing to take someone off the staff of Shilt's staff
Yeah.
and place them at the forefront, considering some of the things that are already kind of transpired or been said with Shildt.
Yeah, so that actually is an interesting question. Again, as we've discussed, Mike Shildt, 90 plus wins back-to-back seasons. Again, great in-game strategist, great at getting buy-in from players, establishing a culture, playing a smart, fundamentally sound brand of baseball. Again, he's always been hard on his support staff. We know that. That dates back to his days in St. Louis. Do you think, based on everything you've read and seen and heard, would it be a good idea to start fresh and bring in someone completely new?
Um, in this situation, like I said, I don't know much about Brian Esposito, and I know they love Ruben. So
Yeah.
the players love Ruben. So I mean, it could be a positive situation to have someone that has experience for that. And also, it just comes down to if Priller is ready to take on a whole new situation, a whole new project. It comes down to the front office, as to what they deem that is needed right now.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand, the Shilty situation, because it's been so good on the outside. We didn't know the internal workings of what was transpiring. But obviously, Prilla could say, you know what, maybe it's time to get Esposito opportunity. Maybe it's time to get uh, Nebula opportunity also. It just comes down to that. But once again, I think that will probably touch on from some of the players, and some of what the conversation that you have with the players that are there for a very long time and long term, to see what can possibly happen in that situation.
Yeah, where I stand, just look, knowing this clubhouse, knowing the personalities in there, knowing this roster, knowing this front office, knowing their dynamic, how they like to operate. I do think for this team, the 2026 Padres, where they are, who they have, all of it, it would be very, very, very wise. And I personally think it would be the best choice to bring in someone with previous managerial experience who understands how to navigate big personalities in the clubhouse and has done it successfully. Someone who knows how to navigate different dynamics in a front office and has done so successfully. In addition to just the pressure of managing game to game, understanding how to manage the bullpen, keeping your role players happy, keeping them fresh enough to get some at bats, making sure everything is functioning smoothly on the field, establishing a culture of accountability and standards about the style of play. I think that this is a job that, look, it is a little bit of a tricky job, right? Let's be real.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of turnover. This will be the 6th manager in 11 years under AJ Preller. All different reasons, but it is something that we have to acknowledge has happened. And I do think that bringing someone in who has a winning track record in a lot of different places, has a track record of managing superstars, has a track record of managing and dealing with front offices. Managing up is every bit as important as managing down. I just think that would be what puts the Padres in the best position to be successful in the near future, which ultimately is their goal. Again, this is a team whose stated goals are to contend for a World Series right now, not 3 years from now, not 4 years from now, right now. And as much as I want to say, I think AJ Ellis will be a tremendous manager. I think Nick Hundley will be a tremendous manager whenever their time comes. I don't think that this Padres team, as currently constructed, is the right atmosphere or environment for a first-time manager to come in.
Yeah.
And again, we will see what they choose to do. But for me personally, the candidates who have the previous experience, I do think that would be what puts the Padres in the best position to succeed, which at the end of the day is the goal of this hire.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, you stated it as best as you can put it. Because of the roster, because of the type of guys you have on there, I, it will automatically give the players a sense of calm
Yeah.
as to what's going on, because the players will understand that the manager who's been there, who's done that and everything else, knows that he can manage a lot of different arenas right away, who has experience in managing those different arenas. And that puts the players at a calm as to where you don't seem chaotic. But as you stated also, veteran managers are very particular and peculiar about, man, it's like 6 guys in the last 11, 12 years, man. So the stability, you just don't know. But a veteran manager understands and knows how to handle that also. It's like, okay, he's going to probably bring that up in question as he goes through the interview process.
Yeah.
And so the veteran manager is not going to be worried about that type of thing. He's going to be worried about doing his job and making sure that the team is going in a direction as what the organization and everyone thinks it should be going.
Yeah, I do think for me, the list of what would be the best choices for the Padres to make, just given all the factors we discussed. Tier 1 is individuals with previous managerial experience and winning managerial experience, a track record of success that gives them instant credibility and authority in the clubhouse. I think that is absolutely key, and I think that is what the Padres should prioritize in this hire. If they choose to go another direction, the second group to me that you look at is the individuals who are already on the staff that know this clubhouse, that have existing relationships, that have some semblance of authority already, know the front office, know the dynamics at play. I think that would be the second choice. And I will bring Ryan Flaherty and put him in that bucket with Brian Esposito and Ruben Niebla, just because he was a bench coach in San Diego. He has those relationships with the players, with the front office. So I'm going to include him in that bucket too, even though he's not technically internal right now. I think the worst thing the Padres could do, the absolute worst decision they could make, would be to bring in a prominent ex-player who has never coached or managed an affiliated baseball ever before, whether it's someone off of TV or someone who is currently in a special assistant role but has no actual coaching experience. And with that, I want to get us to Albert Pujols, who, again, tremendous career. His career absolutely gives him, a lot of authority and credibility. But he's going to be better for a young team where he is going to be teaching the game, helping players grow, where wins and losses are not the priority in year 1, year 2, year 3. Again, his only managerial experience is in the winter leagues. That one season in the winter leagues.
Yeah.
That is not comparable in any way, shape, or form to a 162-game season in Major League Baseball. All the things you have to do with managing a bullpen, managing personalities, the roster, fan expectations, media. It's a different animal. Again, I think if Albert Pujols took the Angels job, I get it. Young team, they're not winning anytime soon. Let him, teach them how to get better a little bit. That's fine.
Yeah.
For the Padres, I think that would be the worst possible decision they can make, a hire like that.
Yeah, definitely. I love Albert. Has tremendous cachet in the game.
Yep.
And but you stated it, the players would say, if you're hiring someone of Albert's status, it means that you're trying to glorify this spot on this particular guy. And they don't need that right now. They just need a leader who can, corral everyone and get in the same direction, to have some responsibility and understand, so the players can just go out and play and not have to talk about their manager every single day. I think that is by far not a good situation to put this team in at this particular time.
Yeah. So I think we're in agreement. One of the guys who has previous managerial experience. Now, whether that's Scott Service, whether that's Phil Nevin, whether that's David Ross, whether that's any of the guys who were recently fired, the Rocco Baldellis, the Brandon Hydes, the Derek Sheltons, or someone who maybe has been out of managing for a year or two, but is eager to get back in the game. Those, I think, are the best guys for this team. I think that's where the pool of candidates should be focused. Again, we'll see what they choose to do and ultimately who they end up hiring. And look, AJ Preller said there's no timeline in terms of they want it done by the GM meetings or anything like that. They're going to go through the process of interviews, be thorough, and ultimately come up with their decision. We'll see who it is. Mike, we've got a little more to talk about actual on-field baseball. We're going to talk a little bit about the ALCS here. We're going to take a quick break, hear a word from our sponsors, then we'll dive right in.
Let's take you through the Arena Club Slab Pack experience. This is part 2 because Todd Father last week pulled a card that he didn't love, yet he sold it back for actually more than what the slab pack cost. This time, pulls a card that he likes.
Yeah, and this is the best part of it. Ronnie Mauricio, the Mets standout, rookie sensation. He's been absolutely phenomenal. I like the itch of seeing what you're going to get. I like prospects. I don't love them, but seeing this kind of card is actually absolutely beautiful thing. I know a couple people around town that would absolutely love that card. So there's going to be a lot of conversations going on here for Arena Club.
And what you do is you have it in your digital showroom. If you want to hand it out locally, then cool. You ask Arena Club to send it to you, and they do, or you can sell it back like you see there. Instant offer for $193, but he's keeping it. And you can do what Todd Father does by going to arenaclub.com/Val and getting 20% off your first card purchase or your first slab pack purchase.
Welcome back to Friar Territory, presented by Fox One. Mike, the 2 best words in sports. Game 7. Mariners and Blue Jays. Game 7 of the ALCS is tonight on Fox. Shane Bieber versus George Kirby. What are you going to be looking for in this one, especially given the Mariners had a 2-0 lead, 3-3 in Toronto?
Well, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of nervous energy until the game actually starts.
Yeah.
But I'll be looking forward to see, a lot of the guys in this game 7 haven't experienced playing this late in the year.
Yeah.
So, the sharpness that I'm looking for, from Big Jorge, I know he's one of the ultimate competitors. And so from the Seattle Mariners standpoint, from a pitching standpoint, I know it'll be all hands on deck and just guys are probably gonna say that, they can give you something and they probably can't give you anything, but you look for the sharpness of this situation.
Yeah.
And I just, I haven't never played in a game 7, but I played in those, winner take all one games, a couple times in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Man, just like feel it, like embrace it, like you've been doing this, you've been planning this thing in your mind since you've been, as long as you can pick up a bat and put together sentences like game 7, bases loaded, 3-2 count. We obviously saw that with Joe Carter here with that situation. I won't be shocked when they brought Joe Carter out to throw the first pitch in this situation.
Yeah, good call.
Once again, from the Mariners standpoint, it's just like, man, like try to channel the energy that is being fed for the home team to allow you to focus on the task of what you're trying to do. And that's just trying to enjoy it and play the best baseball you possibly can, man, and see where the chips fall. Obviously, I always say that the advantage to the team is the momentum of the team is the next day starting pitcher.
Yeah.
Right now, I do feel like the Toronto Blue Jays do have that momentum of energy going into today and feeling good about themselves. But at the same time, it still changes at 8 o'clock tonight. It's the starting pitchers that will deem what type of momentum is garnered for each team.
Yeah.
From the Blue Jays perspective, they're at home. They got a great opportunity to, come back from being 2 down and be this great story. They got a real live hero there in Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who has actually just been on fire, man. And one of the biggest things I've seen is that the bottom of their lineup has been like really, really good, man.
Yep.
They
Addison
have,
Barger, Ernie Clement, even Isaiah kind
yeah,
of Falefa's chipping in. I
yeah,
mean, that having
they,
that full 1 through
they,
9 makes a big difference.
yeah, they don't hit a whole lot of homers, but they just continuously put pressure on the team by putting guys on base, running the bases very aggressive, not taking anything for granted. I mean, you got to take your hat out to, that team and what they've been able to do. But hey, man, like if I'm in Seattle's clubhouse or dugout and I'm part of that thing, man, I'm gonna throw in some Michael Jackson because he's so universal to ease everyone's emotions and everything else, and just try to take the game in stride and say, if someone would have told me on October 20th we will be in this position right now with just one opportunity to go play in the World Series, I would relish it, man. Because the game is going to be the game itself. It's everything that leading up to the game, and as a player, you try to continue your focus and everything else. Obviously, I talk about this a lot. Your cortisone levels will be high. Just embrace it. Like
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Yeah.
Try not to let it get in the way of what type of capabilities you have
Yeah.
to go out and play the game. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be see ball, hit ball, catch it, and score as many runs as you can to beat the opposition. Petition, baby.
There's no question. Mindset, composure, poise are going to be huge. We saw in game 6, the Mariners committed back-to-back errors. I should say errors on back-to-back plays. That opened up the door for the Blue Jays to take an early lead, and they kind of piled on from there. We see defensive mistakes get amplified in the postseason again and again and again. It really is going to come down to who plays clean baseball, who stays calm, who's composed, who's poised. I do want to ask you this, Mike, because you can see from both perspectives
Yeah.
that either team would have the most pressure on them. From the Mariners, they have a lot of pressure on them because they were up 2-0 in this series and 3-2. And they're trying to get to the first World Series in franchise history. The only team in baseball that has never reached a World Series. They're trying to be the ones that end that. On the flip side, the Blue Jays were the 1 seed in the American League. They're home for game 7.
Yeah.
And they represent all of Canada. They don't just have a city as a fan base. They have an entire nation as a fan base that they're trying to do this for. Who do you think has more pressure, the Mariners, the Blue Jays? Because both of them in different ways are facing a lot.
I always thought about the home team has the most pressure because you're trying to make it hostile for the visitor, and the visitor can come in and just throw the first punch or first haymaker and bring all of their energy into a space where they can kind of like ride on that. Man, just me being obviously an ex-Mariner, I do understand what the guys are feeling, but as a player, you can't worry about all those things that have already been stated and out of your control. The one thing you could try to do, man, is try to play fast, but you can't make mistakes against this Blue Jays team because they don't swing and miss. They rarely swing and miss. And I'm pretty sure that swing and miss is going to go down considerably because all of these guys are pitching, man, on probably fumes. And so you're probably not going to be at your best. So it all comes back down to the competition, the focus, and the execution, especially against a team like the Blue Jays, because they're dangerous, bro. Like they woke up and they haven't stopped since, and they've been applying pressure all the way through. And so I don't think that the Seattle Mariners are going to get in a situation where they're going to hit into 2 or 3 more bases loaded double plays either.
Yes.
Which that's just baseball in its craziest way.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think they're going to make 2 or 3 more mistakes like they did. They're very good at catching the ball.
Yeah.
One reason why they're in this position now. So the best, I feel like the better the starting pitching is, that the better that you're able to keep guys off base. is going to have a really good chance to win. I do feel like this is going to be a close game. But, you know, in my case, I'm not letting Vladimir Guerrero Jr. beat me, man.
Yeah.
I'm making him somebody else beat me, which they've done a good job in doing, but he is the igniter of this team, and he's the best player on this team, and those guys feed off of that. And if you can kind of bring him down a level, keep him in the ballpark, you know, and don't let him, he's a third hitter, you know, if
Yeah.
you can keep him at bay a little bit and don't allow him to ignite that crowd, and it's going to be a good game, man. I'm looking forward to it. I know what the guys are feeling. I understand it, you know, right now. The good thing is there's a lot of family there, so it kind of takes you away from the game a little bit, but you're still focused on it. So it's going to be good, man. I'm pretty sure they would love to be playing this at 6 or 7 o'clock opposed to 8 o'clock, because it just creates more anxiety, and they can't wait till you get to the ballpark to start swinging, throwing, catching, and running and laughing amongst each other, you know, to kind of set aside some of those things that are going on. It's the managers and the coaches and everything else that carry all that stuff, because they can't play the game. And so it's going to be a really good one, man. We haven't seen a game 7 in a while. I think Shane Bieber's been involved with one before. So
He's been involved in elimination. I don't think he's been involved in game 7, but
okay.
yeah, no,
But,
there's definitely postseason experience there. I do think for me, again, not to say it all comes down to one guy, but I do think the key to this game is going to be George Kirby. George Kirby, when he is right, when he is at his best, is a number 1 caliber starter. He is a guy that is a threat to go throw 7 shutout innings with 14 strikeouts on any given day. But he has not been his best this season. He had a career high 4.21 ERA in the regular season, missed some time with an injury. And in his last start, this series got bombed, gave up 8 runs over 4 innings in Seattle. So to me, given how good this Blue Jays offense is, and again, this isn't a fluke. This was the team that led the majors in hitting, led the majors in on-base percentage, was top 5 in runs. I mean, this was a great offense. If the good version of George Kirby shows up, the Mariners, I think, will win, because look, this Mariners offense is not one that's going to explode for 7, 8, 9 runs. It's just not.
Yeah.
If they're going to win, it's going to be they get great pitching, and then the bullpen shuts it down. They get a few big hits, and they win 3-2, 4-2.
Yeah.
If the bad version of George Kirby shows up, I think it's game over. I really do. I think then the Blue Jays are going to run away with it, like we saw them do in Kirby's first start. So to me, it really comes down to which version of George Kirby shows up, and that will determine who goes to the World Series to face the Dodgers. I truly believe that.
Yeah, as you stated that, I'll be looking forward to see how the command where Kirby is given, because the Blue Jays say, "Oh, I mean, like we know he's good, but if we make him throw strikes, you know, we feel like we have a good chance of being very competitive and winning this ball game."
Yeah.
The other aspect is, if George is on and he is being aggressive, his last start, he said he was, you know, kind of teetering with the strike zone a little bit. It fell behind, and you have to throw the ball over the plate to these guys. They're gonna hit it. You know, they've shown that. So I'm looking to see how George is able to do this. And then, you know, if it doesn't work for George in the first couple innings, we got to go down here and bring all the guys in that we possibly can to try to give our team, our offense, a chance to stay in the game with this team right here. Look, it's the 1-2, the 1-2 team right now in the I mean, so this is it. You know, this is it, man. So it comes down to this, and it's gonna be a fun night, man. I'll be probably stomaching knots and hoping guys do well and everything else. But, you know, I'm just watching and understand what these guys are feeling. And it's going to be I don't think you could have picked 2 better places to have a game 7, either in Seattle or Toronto, because it is electric. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot going on. And all you're trying to do is hone in and play and compete to try to score more runs than the other team tonight. So it's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. And there are some Padres ties, of course. Matt Brash and Andres Munoz shutting it down for the Mariners at the end of the game. Both former Padres. On the Blue Jays side, you have Eric Lauer, former Padres first-round pick and starting pitcher. So either way, we will have a former Padre in the World Series. It's just a matter of who it's going to be. Mike, thank you so much for joining me. We appreciate your expertise and insight as always.
Territory, baby. Friar Territory.
All right, everyone, that'll do it for another edition of Friar Territory here on the Foul Territory Network. Go ahead and give us a review, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, whatever platform you're watching and listening on. We'd love to hear from you. For Mike Cameron, I'm Kyle Glaser. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll be back later this week.